Hi, I'm Andrea,
I'm Betty.
and we're going to be presenting on singing and social inclusion. So first we're going to define what social inclusion and exclusion are. Social inclusion is those at risk of poverty and social exclusion gain the opportunities and resources necessary to participate fully in economic, social, and cultural life and to enjoy a normal standard of living. And social exclusion, as defined by this study, is individuals who are pushed to the edge of society and are prevented from participating fully by virtue because of poverty, lack of experiences, or as a result of even discrimination.
So in the introduction, we look at in the study, the researchers firstly introduced several social problems such as social exclusion that might caused by the social economic status. And he also mentioned several studies that suggesting music and art programs could help the situation. So firstly, they mentioned that poverty is one of the biggest contributor to individual sense of social exclusion.
And secondly, they mentioned that the UK wants to address social behavior through art programs, and they quote that there are situations that are worsening in the EU, and this may be because society feels more excluded and there may be differences between socioeconomic status and other factors that may play into this. So that's why one of the main reasons they wanted to study this was because of the situations that they felt were occurring in the EU at that time.
Yeah, so in the study, they look into an art program called Sing Up, and that's the program we are looking at in our study today. And so several studies they introduced in the introduction suggest that it's really important and necessary to have art programs and music programs in school because it can promote and improve children's social behavior positively. And even outside of the school context, music can help people's health and psychosocial well-being as well. And also many other studies shows that music will help with people's sense of social inclusion, sense of community, and their self-well-beings.
So the Sing Up program, as mentioned in the introduction, originally it was a small longitudinal study done in the UK. Most children benefited from the singing program, but they found that a minority of students did not promote social inclusion for them, and it posed severe risks for their social networks. So the UK posed an initiative called the Music Manifesto so that all children could have access to music no matter their circumstances. And then they launched this new study that we'll be discussing today called Sing Up, once again, and they wanted to determine if singing impacted the behavior, development of children, attitude towards singing, and their self-concept.
Yes. So the purpose of the study is that the researchers wanted to help people and children's self-esteem, their self-efficacy, and their social inclusion via the singing experiences. And that also leads to the hypothesis of the study, which is the singing experiences will allow and help the children, especially the excluded children, to feel more socially included and to help them to promote a more confident and positive self-concept.
So how they conducted this study is it was over 4 years, so again it was a longitudinal study. They visited 184 schools and they had 13,096 children who participated, which is a very large sample size. 52% of them were girls and 48% of them were boys, and they had children ranging from 7 to 10 years old to do this study. And they found that 1 in 4 children came from ethnic minority groups.
So within the procedure, these children were taken into the experiment in the groups of 2 to 4 instead of just by themselves, since these children were in the age of 7 to 10, like they're still quite young. So they will feel less shy, more comfortable, and perform in a more natural way when they were with their peers. And after they come in, they will be given 2 songs to sing without giving the prompt. And while they were singing, their voice and songs will be recorded and randomized. So the point of why these researchers did this instead of just grade how well they sing in front of them is because they want to prevent some potential biases. And so afterwards, these researchers will rate songs by 2 assessments. By assessing how accurate these children get the pitch, lyrics, and rhythm right, and they will generalize and normalize singing score. And for the children, they will be given questionnaires to explore their attitudes towards singing experiences. And also in the questionnaire, they will be asked about their self-concept, and which is their sense of social inclusion by Likert type scale.
So they performed a correlation coefficient for the results, and they wanted to assess the mean responses to social inclusion questions on the questionnaire and their singing scores. So they found that there was a small but significant positive correlation between singing, rating, and the child's sense of social inclusion. And you can see that the R value is relatively small, and an R value means that there is a small correlation between their 2 variables is not very strong. But their p-value is very small as well, so this means that it was a significant relationship but not a very strong one. They conducted an ANOVA to examine inclusion and organized it into quartiles, as you can see by this graph. On the y-axis here says singing scores, and then on the x-axis is social inclusion, and they divided their scores into quartiles. And this means that the lowest 25% will be here, and then so on and so on and so on. And so you can see that as their singing scores increased, their feelings of social inclusion also increased.
So after the ANOVA, they did some regression analysis, and basically the same result has been found, that the social inclusion scores can effectively predict the children's singing scores. And they also did some further studies by dividing the children into 2 subgroups. So one of the group are the children who had participated in the Sing Up program before when it has been first launched, and the other group are the children who had not participated in it before. And in the result, we found that small but significant and positive correlation between 2 variables in both groups, and which means both groups have a relationship between singing experience and positive self-concept among children. And we can see here here's the R value, which means R value means how strong is the relationship between 2 variables, and we can see here it's the same result for both groups, so it may imply that no matter the children had participated in the Sing Up program before, the same strength of relationship between social inclusion and singing scores has been found.
I'd also like to mention some of the limitations that may have occurred through this study. We've noted that this study was only performed in the UK, so we don't know if this can expand to other locations. As well, they only used children in the study, so we would like to know maybe is there a potential for adults or young adults to increase their feelings of social inclusion as they start singing. We also think that since there's a small but significant correlation, that we don't know how well one variable caused the other, so there may be a question of causality in this study. And lastly, they may have not accounted for background or genetics in the children. There's several studies that show that genes can promote musicality and singing, and we are not sure that they accounted for this 3rd variable that may have influenced their study. Lastly, in their discussion, so overall the Sing Up program was meant to help all children experience singing. They found that children with better singing ability were more socially included. The Sing Up program was associated with increase in singing scores, as well as positive self-concept, self-esteem, and social inclusion. And they found that singing in a group also increases attachment and cooperation, as well as promotes a sense of community. So these are all positive aspects of the study. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.